Hmm.
Okay, so tell me, what variables are you working with?
Okay, so I'm doing the consumption of fruits and vegetables, and
Okay.
then um the physical activity one. Hold on, I saved the file of like the ones that I'm using. Hold on, let me open it so I can tell you exactly what they're called.
Can you email it to me?
Yeah, hold on one second. I think so.
Yeah, well, give me the names at least.
Okay, hold on. I just have to wait for SPSS to open.
Yeah, I know that. I know that ordeal.
Yeah.
So for you were going to do fruits and vegetable consumption?
Yeah, with amount of physical activity. Like I want to see if there's a relationship between like people who do physical activity, do they also eat healthy and like vice versa? Like what's the likelihood of that, I guess?
What are you using for a measure of physical activity?
They're both nominal variables, so I was going to do a chi-square test.
Okay, but I mean, like, what is the measure of physical activity? Amount of walking they do, bicycling.
Oh, no, it was just I think it's just if you it asks like besides work if you participate in or like how if you participate in any physical activity or like how frequently do you or like it's I think it's just like it just asks if you participate in it in general. Wait, hold on. It just opened, so I'll show you. I mean, I'll read to you what it says. Um During the past 30 days, other than your regular job, did you participate in any physical activities or exercises?
Okay, all right, that's pretty general. That's 30 days, but that's okay. I guess if that's the question they asked, that's what they
I
wanted.
mean, well, there were a few that I wasn't sure what to choose from. And then there was another one that says during the, hold on one second. Um, During the last 7 days, did you do sports, fitness, or recreational activities that increase your breathing or heart rate?
That sounds more like aerobic, right?
That sounds better. Okay, so then I'll do that one. I wasn't sure which one would be better to do.
Before we make a decision, we'll take a look at what the variables look like. In other words, what the measurements look like, what the response criteria were. In other words, what the one time yes or no, or is it one time or five times or something like that. What are the names of the variables?
The one I just read you is reactivity, and the one for the food is fruit veg.
Like that. Okay, let me find them. See if I can. Actually, what I should probably do is do it in the variable view and just alphabetize them. Okay, get out of the way. Let's see where we are here. Okay, fruit, veg, and react. So reactivity is going to be the first one. Oh, rec activity, REC.
Yeah, yeah. I think they spelled it. Oh yeah, rec
Yeah,
activity. Yeah.
recreation. I guess that
Okay.
one.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, whoops. Did I miss something? Nope. Okay, and fruit, veg is the other one. So I'm going to eliminate everything except those two, so we can work a little easier. Oh, I was thinking veg, fruit. I went too far. Fruit, veg. Recreational activity. Oops. We eliminated that one. Okay, so let's see what we have. I'll go to the data view. It's not coded, so we're going to have to code it, right? Put the values in. Data view. Okay, so let's see. Activity. Boy, it looks like ones and twos. That's pretty convenient, actually, right?
Right. Wait, hold on one second.
Yeah, let's go to the code book and see what they actually represent.
Um, I'm like confused on how to read this.
I read the data file or read the code book.
The the date. Well, I don't have the code book open right now. I'm looking at the
Data.
data file, and I'm like,
I have it. You can just look at my screen. So
okay,
right now, I've narrowed this down to just two variables. I removed all the rest of them. I highlighted them, went up to edit and clear. Right. I noticed that backspace doesn't really work very well. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
sorry. Oh, okay, I see your screen now. Sorry, I minimized it before, so I couldn't
Oh,
see
okay.
it. Okay, all right. Wait, can you click on the data view again so I can see what it looks like?
Looks like it's all ones and twos.
Okay,
Right.
okay,
But we have to and the veg is like, ones, twos, and threes for the most part, it looks like. But we're gonna have to take a look at the code book to see what that represents. Because when I go back into the variable view, you see the values here? They're not coded. So SPSS doesn't know what one or two represents, or one, two, or three for fruits and vegetables. Right? So
okay,
we have to tell it. Okay, so
okay.
I'm gonna go back to the data view for now. And I open the code book. Okay, so now I want to go. We can go. We can literally go fly through this thing, try and find it. But I'm gonna just do a quick search for fruit veg. Control F, Command F rather on the Mac if that's what you're using. Fruit veg. Okay, here it is. So fruit veg. Thinking about nutrition, how many total servings of fruit and vegetables a serving would equal, both so on and so forth. So one equals none, two equals 1 to 4, and three equals greater than five, greater equal to or greater than five servings, right?
Hmm,
So, and you can actually see they actually tell you how many people fell into each category, but there are quite a few that ate no fruits or vegetables at all. Some of them, some people refused it, and so on, refused to answer. I think when the dot's in front of there, I think SPSS basically counts that as like missing values and doesn't really actually use them in analysis. I'm pretty sure,
okay,
but it's not. It's not for in a moment. It's not really going to matter to us. So we got to
mhm,
code 1, 2, and 3, right, for
right.
fruits and vegetables. So I'm going to go over here to variables. Okay, and the values are value 1 means none. Value 2 means, I think, 2 to 4 servings. And the value 3 means 5
Four,
or more.
more than five,
Five.
five or more.
Yeah, I think it's 5 or more. Okay, so I got to do the same thing now with activity. Okay, and we got a little lucky on recreational activity. I think we got a little lucky on recreational activity. Okay, 1 means yes and 2 means no. It couldn't be
Okay.
simpler, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put the values in there. 1 means yes, and 2 means no. Good. So now if I go back to my data view, bingo, I can see what how each individual responded. Okay, this person ate 2 to 4 servings, and yes, they did some exercise. This one ate 2 to 4 servings, but they didn't do any exercise. So now, if I were to do, well, let's think about these two variables, these two nominal variables. Which one would you say is would you say is more likely to be the influencer or cause of the other. In other words, is someone likely to eat more fruits and vegetables because they uh, 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 exercise a lot, or you think that if people that exercise a lot are more likely to eat fruits and vegetables? I'm trying to make it may be a difficult it may even really make too much sense to even really think about it that way, but I have to choose which ones to put in the rows and which ones to put in the columns.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you want to put as the exposure? Maybe
Um,
exercise. Maybe we want to look at see if like people who exercise more are more likely to eat fruits and vegetables. Kind of take that view of it. I'll leave
okay.
that up to you. You can do it both ways actually. So I'm going to go up to analyze, and you have the right idea, chi-square. I'm going to go up to descriptive statistics and crosstabs because we're going to set up a crosstabs.
All
So for
right.
now, I'll put exercise in the rows, and I'll put fruits or vegetables in the columns. Okay, and I'm going to ask it to give me just the observed values for right now. Okay, and it should come up shortly. And here we go. Okay, 248, 2297. The nose, no physical activity, 770 out of 5,300. Eight no fruits and vegetables. Well, the interesting thing in here is the bad outcome is on the left here, right? But here, the good outcome during the last 7 days that you use so and so, the good outcome is in the top row. I kind of, I would prefer that the no's be in the top row so we can see if people that said no are more likely to be eating no fruits and vegetables, right? That might be the way I might look at that. Well, how do I get the no's into the top and the yeses into the bottom? Well, problem is SPSS is putting the yeses on top because it's one and the no's are two. So I can recode that variable, right? So that the yeses are in the bottom and the no's are on top, just by telling it to change the ones and twos back, change them back and forth. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to transform, recode into a different variable. I'm going to take exercise during the last 7 days. I'm going to give it a new name. Okay, reactivity 1 equals no. But I'll give it a real label, like no recreational activity. Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to tell it, I'm going to change the values. I'm going to tell it if it's a 1, make it a 2. Now the yeses are going to be 2s instead. I'll add that. If it's a 2, make it a 1. Okay, I can continue. I'll say go ahead and make the change and say okay. Okay, so now we got a new variable. Notice I'm gonna go over here and change this and hide the variable view. Oh, got to be an apple. Hide the variable view. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Show the hide the value labels. Did I just make? Yeah. See, the ones are twos now, and the twos are ones.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now I got to go back and recode it again. Right now, 1 is no recreational activity, and 2 is recreational activity. Hopefully, when you do it, you'll be able to spell better than I do. Okay, so now when I go back to the data view, I'm going to turn on value labels again. And you can see we switch them back and forth, yeses and nos. I made it a little bit more, instead of saying yes and no, I just made this a little bit more elaborate now instead of recreational activity. This is what's going to wind up on your table. So the way you phrase that label is, if I go back to the variable view, if I go into value labels, um, 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 the actual variable name that we gave it, which was reactivity uh, 1 equals no, this value label, excuse me, this a variable name, you're the only one that's going to see that. What's going to
Right.
show up in the tables is what you put down as the value, and also for for uh, for tables, the label itself. Okay, no recreational activity is a label that's going to show up, and these are when it's breaking up values, these phrases are going to show up. So you can do anything you want with the variable name in terms of description. SPSS insists that it have a letter to start off with and have no spaces. It can have numbers after the first letter, and that you don't have any special characters like asterisks or parentheses or anything like that, or dashes. Right. So that's the only rules with that. So now I'm going to go to the data view. Okay. I like working in that view. So I go to analyze, descriptive statistics crosstabs. And I'm going to move this back, the rows. I'm going to use the other variable, no recreational activity, the one I just created.
Right.
Instead, I'm going to click OK. Okay. And let's see what we have now. Well, now I have the people with no recreational activity and no consumption of vegetables, and lesser consumption of vegetables on this side. Now I'm going to do percentages by rows. Let's see, analyze descriptive statistics. Uh, um, um, oops, analyze descriptive statistics cross tabs. I'm going to go into cells. Say, show me the percentages by rows. I'll click OK. And now let's take a look at this. People who did no recreational activity, 14% of them didn't eat any fruits or vegetables. People who did do recreational activity did 8% of them ate no fruits and vegetables. So it looks like you're twice as likely to eat no fruits and vegetables if you don't exercise than if you do exercise. That's kind of an interesting finding, right?
Right. So it's like suggesting that that there's like a relationship
Yeah.
between the.
Yeah, there isn't too much difference in the 2 to 4%, 2 to 4 servings, right? They're basically the same percentage, and it looks like people who people who do a lot of recreational activity in the high end, they tend to eat they tend to eat twice as often. They tend to eat twice. Like, you have like the opposite relationship there. If you do no recreational activity, you're half as likely to eat 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables. See, this one is none, this one's 5 or more, so it kind of flips the relationship a little bit, right? So 5 or more, people who don't exercise, only half of that, you're only half as likely to eat 5 or more fruits and vegetables, right? So I'll leave that to you interpret. This is what we were expecting here, and this is what we were expecting here, right? In the middle, seems like there's really no difference, whether they exercise or not in terms of whether they eat 2 to 4 servings. Well, now, what kind of analysis can we do on this to make sure that these are statistically significant and they're not due to chance?
Um, you would do I mean, you do like the chi-square to
Sure.
do like alpha 5% error rate and
Yeah,
all that.
okay. Yeah, let's do that. Descriptive statistics crosstabs. So we can go into statistics now and we can do chi-square. Well, how about relative risk and odds ratio, or at least
Yeah.
odds ratio?
Yeah.
Okay, let's click that off. Click OK. See where we stand there. Okay, did the chi-square. You think it's significant? I think pretty much, right? It's like enormous. That it helps that it's an enormous data set, right? So
Mhm.
it appears that there's a significant if our null hypothesis is that there's no association between the rate of recreational activity in fruits and vegetables, we can reject that and say there does seem to be an association. There's a difference in the expected value. in the observed values and the expected values, right? And it's quite large difference, so it's statistically significant. Well, what about the risk? How much of a risk are you at when we said, gee, this is, if you none, you're at much greater risk. What is that level of risk? Well, if we look down here to the odds ratio, it didn't calculate it. Do you know why it didn't calculate it?
No, why?
Well, read down here. Risk estimate statistics cannot be computed. They are only computed for a 2 by 2 table.
Can you change that or no?
We can change everything, right? Okay, so let's go back here and take a look at fruits and vegetables. Okay, so I'm going to go into the variable view again and look at fruits and vegetables. And the values that we have are none, 2 to 4, or 5. Now, the reason we're having this problem is because we have 2 categories for recreation, but we have 3 categories, giving us a 2 by 3 table for fruits and vegetables. So, how about if we make a new variable that is eating no vegetables, or a variable eating, I'm sorry, that should have been 1 to 4, of eating at least 1 serving of vegetables a day, right? So we'll make it 2 variables instead of 3. So we'll go back in here and we'll make a new variable again. Transform. Let's see. I want to go back in here and take a quick look at this. 1 was none. Okay, 2 and 3 were vegetables. So I'm going to go into transform, recode into different variables, and I'm going to say a new variable. First of all, I got to get all this stuff out of the way. Okay, got to start from scratch, because it tends to, here, I'll show you what I mean. SPSS tends to be sticky with this stuff, it tends to remember this stuff. You got to make sure you remove all this stuff from the last time you did it. Okay, so let's see. Total servings of fruits and vegetables. I'll move that over there. I'm going to change that to fruits, fruit, veg, 2 categories. So I know what it is. But the label I'm going to give it is consume fruit or vegetables. Okay, and I'm going to go down to the values here. See how sticky it is? It's really, really kind of, okay, I'll remove that. I'll remove that. Okay, so let's start from scratch. 1 was none. We're going to keep that the same. 2 now is 2. It means that, they at least consume some. I'm going to keep that the same. Now, 3, I don't want a second category, so I'm going to make 3 people that consume a lot of fruits and vegetables. I'm going to make that 2. So the category 2 is that you eat any fruits and vegetables at all, versus if you don't eat any.
Okay.
Okay, continue. And I'm going to go ahead and tell it to change the variable, make the new variable, and then click OK. So now we have another new variable. Okay, here we go. Fruit, vegetable, 2 categories. Consume fruit or vegetables. Now I got to give it values. 1 we said was none, and 2, consume at least 1 serving. Or maybe I should just made that shorter. 1 or more servings. It's 2. Okay, so I go back to my data view, and now here we go. We can see what's going on here.
It's 10 o'clock.
So now I'm going to say analyze. I'm going to say descriptive statistics crosstabs. Okay, now instead of this variable, I'm going to use a new one that we just created, consume fruits or vegetables. Okay, I'm going to say OK. And I actually remember SPS tends to be sticky, so the risk and the chi-square are going to be calculated, and the observed values and the percentages by rows are going to be calculated. So I'm going to click continue. Okay, since we want them anyway. Let's do it in one step now. And your chi-square is different, right? It's a different number, but it's still statistically significant. And our table is, well, it's very similar, 14.4%, 8%. That's kind of what we expected because we just grouped these other 2 together. But now it creates a odds ratio for us, right? So what's the odds? The odds would be 770 divided by 4575 over 248 divided by 2850, which is roughly 2 to 1. It's going to be roughly. So in fact, it's almost 2 to 1. You're twice as likely to consume no fruits or vegetables if you don't take part in physical exercise. People who don't take part in physical exercise are twice as likely to not consume any fruits or vegetables. That's a pretty interesting finding, right? The relative risk would be 770 over 5345, which is 14%, over 248 over 3098, which is 8%, which looks like something like 1.7 or 1.8. If you look down here, here it is over here, it's 1.8. Well, what do we need to look for here to make sure it's statistically significant? The odds ratio and the relative risk.
Yeah.
What's important? No, how would we
Oh,
decide?
the confidence interval, you have to make sure it doesn't include one, and it doesn't. So,
Exactly. So you got the same result with the risk estimate as you got with the chi-square test.
right.
Okay. Are you comfortable with this?
Well, I get like what you did, and like I think it's definitely a lot easier to read when you make it the two variables, but in terms of like what you actually did in SPSS, like I don't know if I'm gonna like I see that you're
Well,
recording this session, which
yeah.
is good because I'm
I'll
gonna
do.
have to watch it to like remember exactly how to like recode
Okay.
everything.
One of the other things you might want to consider is taking a look at it from another angle. For instance, what if you had said instead of converting this fruits and vegetables, instead of converting that into none versus eat any vegetables at all. How about converting it into none, like combining one and two, people that eat none or up to 4 servings and compare it to people that eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. That might be interesting because you might have a lot of exercise nuts that eat nothing but fruits and vegetables. And you could also flip it around and say, well, what if I want to examine whether people who eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables, are more likely to exercise every day? So now you put the fruits and vegetables in the rows and the exercise in the columns to see if that how that works out.
So you would get different numbers if you did that?
I think you would, yeah. As a matter of fact, we could try it with the variables we have right now, but no, actually, maybe not. Let's see, descriptive statistics. Let's see, press tabs. Where am I? Analyze, descriptive statistics, press tabs. Let's flip it around. Whoops. Okay, here's 76% of people. 76% of people who consume no fruits and vegetables have do no recreational activity, while 61% of people who eat one or more servings of vegetables have no recreational activity, right? So still significant, same chi-square value because we just flipped the rows around. But now let's take a look at our odds ratio, which is a little bit different. So also, it came out pretty close this time, not exactly the same, but it's also statistically significant. So yeah, there is still an association here. We looked at it from a slightly different perspective, but now what we're doing is we're looking at whether or not people that consume fruit and vegetables are likely to avoid that don't consume fruits and vegetables are also likely to avoid recreational activity. We're kind of looking at it from a different perspective, right? Not so much of a change when you do the chi-square because it's just the same boxes rearranged, right?
Right.
But a difference in the risk estimates because now you're looking at it in terms of this being the exposure and this being the outcome versus the other way around. So the risk estimates came out a little bit different. Notice the relative risk was a lot different. Remember that was 1.8, right? So this is quite a bit different, right? But I mean, it's just another way of looking at the same data. But like I said, you might want to consider looking at it from the perspective of people who consume a lot of vegetables versus people who consume, just none or a few servings, right? So you can make another. You could go back here to fruits and vegetables, make a new variable, right? A
Hmm.
new variable where one and two are combined, and you're comparing it to people that eat 5 or more. right? People that eat none to 4 servings versus people that eat 5 or more servings to see if there's a difference in the rate of exercise. That's to put a, you don't have to, but I'm just trying to point out there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, right? There's a lot of ways for you to look at this data and play around with it and manipulate it and so on. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the recording